So if you're like me, you're a big fan of Hollow Knight, and I often wondered if that should be turned into a tabletop RPG because the setting is just so cool. Well, there are some people on Reddit that kind of took it and made their own version of tabletop RPG Hollow Knight, and I'll put links to that down below. But for those curious, there was a Kickstarter for this called Beetle Knight, and I think it's exactly what I'm looking for. Hey everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent. Today we're going to look at Beetle Knight, which is a bug-sized role-playing game by Jim Hall. And it's one of those cool things where he wrote, laid out, illustrated the whole thing. It's like the mind of just one person. And I'm very taken with this game. I did a Kickstarter, a backer kit for it, crowdfunded it back in the day. It came finally in physical, and that's when I really sat down and started getting into it. The mechanics are fun and interesting. I think the world's super cool. This is on my list to run very, very soon. Real quick though, before we begin, I am doing a giveaway that will end October 19th, 2025. So if you're watching this before then, you should click the link down below and go enter the Gleam giveaway. Monty Cook Games gave me a whole like $1,000 worth of merchandise to give away. And so we're doing a big giveaway, a lot of 5e products, a lot of Cypher System stuff. If you're interested and curious about any of those, click the link down below and enter. And then I'll randomly draw a name and I will maybe draw you. And then I'll contact you and you'll get a lot of free stuff. Anywhere in the world, click the link. Okay, so this is Beetle Knight, a bug-sized role-playing game. And right off the get-go, this art is just so fun. So I have a PDF of this as well, and it came with a couple of adventures from other people. So that's really awesome as well. You should definitely check this out. But yeah, so it gives you a quick rules reference in the very beginning here of how everything works, ability dice and stuff. We're gonna kind of walk through this. So you're a insect, you're a bug, and you might remember, actually let me grab it. You might remember that I've talked about this book before. This is Settlers of a Dead God, and this is a bug-sized, you play an insect in this game as well on the body of a decaying corpse, like a humanoid corpse. And with this, it's for Old School Essentials, and it's essentially like reskinning some of the classes in Old School Essentials. So you're not a paladin, you're a bumblebee, or you're not a thief, you're an arachnid. And this is really good. The world and everything about this is amazing. I love this book so, so much. This is, if this is Old School Essentials, this would be the equivalent of maybe a cairn in simplicity, maybe not simplicity, but in style. It just has a very OSR feel to it, and it's not based on anything that I am familiar with. So you're a knight, which is a bug that has a purpose. You have to go out into the world and you need to save it, help it, do something. You have to go explore because that is what you are. You are a player, you are a knight. So learn and act, play creativity. It gives player guidance, which I really love. You have 4 abilities. Might, intellect, presence, and agility. 2 physical, might and agility, and 2 mental, which is intellect and presence. And here's the cool thing I like about this is that you take a die type and associate it with your ability. So you have a D4, a D6, a D6, and a D8, and you're gonna put those out there. So I'm like, oh, I really like playing intelligent creatures, so I'm gonna put a D8 in my intelligence, maybe a D4 in my might, and a D6 in my agility, and a D6 in my presence. After that, you determine your defense die, which is based on your might or agility, before you pick a species. And then you pick an expertise, which one of these, I really want to be good at intelligence, and so I'm going to get a +1 on that. So I'm a D8 +1. Then with the species, you add all these extra things, and there's 20 different types of species, and they're all pretty unique because insects and bugs are really unique. So you have bees, beetles, carpenter ants, crickets, fire ants, pill bugs, orb weaver, moth, monarch butterfly, all this kind of cool stuff. They divide movement into crawling, flying, burrowing, and swimming. So just very simple, you're doing one of those 4 types of movements. Maybe your bug has a special ability to make that movement better in some way. And so here are all 20, well, 1 through 20 here of all the different species that you can be. So everyone has something special. So if we look at like the bumblebee, you promote agility. So the game has a promote and a demote aspect to it, which is their version of advantage and disadvantage in a way, but it moves you up the die chain a lot like Dungeon Crawl Classics. Now they're not going to have the same wonky dice like the Xochi dice that DCC has, but they do scale up and down. So if you have a D4 in your might and I'm an assassin bug, I actually promote that to a D6. And now my assassin bug just has a D6 in might because of that. If I had a D8 in there, I would promote it to a D10, et cetera, et cetera. There are special abilities like the bee has a D8 melee weapon called the Sting. So not everybody has a weapon, but the bee is going to have a weapon, which is the stinger. Same with the beetle. They have a D8 melee weapon of horns or jaws. There are interesting ones like the cricket can jump 4 centimeters in the air and can do a sonic jump where it does a D6 melee damage if you do a jump action right before it. What other ones? Oh, fire ants. So fire ants have a D8 ranged attack where they can spit fire, and you demote any damage you take from fire or heat. So if I'm attacking a fire creature and I am a fire ant, I'm going to roll my attack die, and they're going to roll their attack die, or I'm going to roll my defense die and they're going to roll their attack die, but their attack is going to be demoted down one die set or one die type. So let's say they come at me with a D6, it's actually going to be rolled as a D4. And I really like that. As a dungeon master, I am going to associate a die type with a specific challenge or monster as opposed to a difficulty challenge number. So instead of a DC 10 to get over this ravine, I'll be like, oh, that sounds like a D4 agility check. They'll roll their agility, I roll my D4. If they're higher than mine, they succeed. If they're less, they fail, and we go through the consequences. We have horseflies, jumping spiders, moths. The moth gets +2, the moth promotes intellect, and you can create small illusions, which I thought was really fun. I want to play either an ant or a moth. I really like that. And the scarab, orb weaver spider, lots of cool stuff. Again, the art is just amazing. So dying in this game feels a lot like Hollow Knight to me, because when you die, there is a residual spirit that's left over, and you can take that spirit orb back to town, get resurrected through a process of going back to town, and then take that and go back, and if you touch your old corpse, the corpse withers away and you are like a new bug again. You're just great. But if you are resurrected and you don't get back to touching your corpse and you die again, then you die for real life. So there's this need of like, hey, we have to finish the adventure, but also if we don't backtrack to where I died, I'm gonna die for real life. Like I have to go touch my corpse. And it's this kind of idea, like just bugs are weird and interesting, and I liked that a lot. I thought that was really, really cool. Lots of fun tables, call to knighthood, like how did you become an adventuring bug? Special items that you started with, and various things like that. And then there's something called resolve, which is basically kind of like combat maneuvers and spell points all resolved into one mechanic. So you have 3 resolve, and certain abilities cost 1, 2, or 3 resolve to do. And then you have things called emblems, and these emblems allow you to do something neat and cool. And it might be a spell, it might be that. There's no levels in the game, but as you adventure, you collect more emblems and you're able to do more interesting stuff. And again, it feels to me like Hollow Knight because you can kind of like swap out this for this, and I thought that was really cool. So there's lots of emblems, and you'll look at a couple of these, like Healing Light costs 1, but Crack, which is make a single attack roll with casting. All creatures within range roll might against the results. You're able to do a whole bunch of damage. Or Primal Burst. And then there's other ones like Nature and Psychic and Combat Powers. So with Psychic, I could do Charm, I could stun a creature, and then Combat Powers would be like, oh, Weapons Master, for your next melee ranged attack, roll the attack die 2 times and sum the results, which is really cool. Like rush, target a creature within range gets 1 extra action before 2 turns that can be used for melee or ranged attacks, so you get extra stuff. It's just little funs like that, and it's so simple. Like, I thought this was so cool because it's just a simple, easy kind of thing to keep in my head. And the more I read this, the more I'm just like, I'm really taken with the mechanics, the art style, the whole thing. I thought it was just super fun. There are equipment to get, do you have a thorn? Do you have a needle for melee weapons? Do you have a shellarang, which I think is my new favorite? Super fun. And then basic equipment, like you have a sack, bag of ashes, chalk, a reed flute, a spiderweb net. There's information about resting and stuff, and initiative is really simple. You roll a d6, the DM rolls a d6, who's ever higher, the entire table goes first. Like, the entire players go first if they win, etc. There's also another, if you ever tie with a creature, that's kind of like the equivalent of like a critical. So if it's really a critical and a failure all at once. So if I'm attacking you, or if I'm doing a skill check, they call it a contest. If I'm doing a contest and I roll a 5 and the enemy, the opposing side rolls a 5 and that ties, then you have like something special happens. So when it ties like that, you get a resolve, and that resolve allows you to do all the cool things. You start with 3, you have a maximum of 3, but you can accrue more without resting by having this. Or you can activate an emblem for free when this happens. So there's kind of cool things, and they had a really good thing in here about tying. Like, you try to pickpocket a nightwing moth, but tie during the contest and draw attention of the moth without succeeding. Due to the tie, the moth doesn't seem to notice that you were stealing and asks, "Say, don't I know you from somewhere else?" So its ability to like fail but succeed forward. So in a game purpose, like in the narrative, it's a way of keeping the players on their toes. Like, you didn't succeed, but like now there's a new avenue you didn't think about, and you can kind of go in this direction. And that creates fun. Like, that's just so cool. And I really liked that. Combat and things like that. Then there are a list of foes at the back of this, which is really cool. Maggot swarm, a toad, a squirrel, a psychic slug, tarantula, trilobite, a wasp queen. Hey everyone, real quick, I hopped onto my computer because I wanted to show off some of these PDFs. So when I did the Kickstarter, I got the physical like booklet, but also it came with a bunch of PDFs. So here we have, this is a game called the Elm Roof Glimmer, an adventure, I should say. So this is a fun little adventure that you can run through. I've only skimmed this, but it seems on par with the game and like super fun. So a good way to jump into this. And then the world that you inhabit is called Litterfall, and this is a Litterfall world guide that I thought was really cool. And it uses cards to, yeah, you know what? I don't care about AI. Could you stop doing that? So it uses playing cards to create locations and encounters and create a hex crawl for it. So you can kind of have a different world every time you play, that I thought was really cool. So if you want to create your Litterfall, like your version of this world, then you get to go ahead and do that. I love mechanics like that where you get to make the world that you're playing in your own. And it's really interesting. And then finally, there was this one that came with it called Eggfall. And it looks like this is just like another simple little adventure that somebody came up with. So here are some locations you can kind of go to. And the art in this one is super fun. So if you are interested, there is like more support for this than you would see with an indie developer, and it's pretty cool. So definitely check it out. So that is Beetle Knight by Jim Hall. I'll put links down below. You guys can check this out. I would highly encourage you to check this out. The print version is super fun. I mean, it's just staple bound. It's like a zine, but I love tactile paper things in my hands, and this is really fun to have on your shelf. And people walk by and they're like, what is Beetle Knight? And you're like, oh. Would you like to play a moth, my friend? Yeah, I like the die mechanics. I like going up and down. I like that it has low hit points, high stakes. I really want to play this. And if you're interested, there are some pre-made adventures already to kind of assist you playing this. But yeah, I'll put a link to all of this down below. And you should check it out. And if you can get a physical copy, you should 100% do that too. That's my thing. Beetle Knight, awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go click the Gleam link and get on that list for the contest before October 19th, 2025. And I'll see you guys all in the next video.